Your dog comes to you when you cry. You think he cares. You think he feels your sadness. You've probably told someone this as proof that dogs are special, that they understand. But there's a problem with that story. Scientists who have spent careers studying dog behavior don't call it empathy. They call it something colder, more mechanical, and honestly, far more surprising. Start with what actually happens inside a dog's body the moment he hears you cry. Dogs have the ability to read human emotional signals that no other species on this planet possesses. Not because they're generally intelligent, but because they've been selectively bred for 15,000 years to do one thing extraordinarily well: read us. A 2015 study from Azabu University in Japan measured oxytocin levels in both dogs and their owners after sessions of mutual eye contact. Oxytocin rose in both, in the dog and the human simultaneously. This is the same biological loop that fires between a mother and her newborn. Not a metaphor, literally the same mechanism. But oxytocin is not empathy. This distinction matters and gets ignored constantly. Empathy requires one very specific thing: the ability to represent another being's mental state as distinct from your own. To know that you are sad, not just that something is wrong. Dogs don't do that. At least not the way we do. What they do is something technically called emotional contagion. This is different from empathy, more primitive, more direct, and precisely because of that, more powerful. When you cry, you emit signals across multiple channels simultaneously. Sound. The frequency of human crying sits in a range dogs detect with extraordinary accuracy. They don't just hear that you're crying, they read the intensity, the duration, the small shifts in your breathing pattern. Smell. This is the part nobody talks about. When you're in emotional distress, your body releases a different cocktail of hormones than in a neutral state. Cortisol rises. The chemical composition of your sweat changes. Dogs, with 300 million olfactory receptors, compared to our 6 million, detect these changes before you're even aware you've started to cry. Posture. Your body shifts when you're sad. Your shoulders drop, your head lowers, your movements slow. Dogs read body language with a precision researchers are still documenting. All of these signals arrive together, and a dog's brain processes all of them within seconds. In 2012, researchers at Goldsmiths University in London ran a simple experiment with results that were anything but simple. They had dog owners and strangers take turns pretending to cry, humming, or speaking normally in front of the dogs. The result? Dogs consistently approached whoever was crying, owner or stranger. They did not approach people who were humming or speaking normally with the same frequency. This is critical. If dogs approached their owners because of attachment, they shouldn't approach strangers. But they did. It wasn't about who was crying. It was about the crying itself. That's not love. That's a response to a signal. But there's another layer. The same study recorded something researchers couldn't dismiss. When dogs approached the crying person, their body posture was specific. They didn't approach the way they approach a toy or food. They approached with head lowered, movements slow, physical contact gentle. That is a submissive social posture, the posture dogs use when navigating emotionally complex situations within their own social group. Which means a dog's brain isn't just detecting a distress signal, it's categorizing it as a social situation that requires a specific social response. They don't know you're sad the way we mean when we say no, but they know this situation requires a particular kind of approach, and they get it right. The deeper question is why this ability exists at all. The answer lives in the long, selective history of domestication. Dogs that couldn't read humans didn't survive alongside humans. They weren't fed. They weren't protected. They weren't allowed to breed. For thousands of generations, what remained were the dogs most capable of accurately reading human emotional signals. We didn't train dogs to do this. We selected for it without knowing. We built a creature whose human emotion detection system is sharper than we ever realized. So, when your dog comes to you while you're crying, what is actually happening? He's detecting chemical changes in the air. He's reading the frequency of your voice. He's processing the shift in your posture. His brain is categorizing all of it as a signal that requires a response. And he moves. Not because he understands your sadness, not because he feels what you feel, but because for 15,000 years, the dogs that did this survived, and the ones that didn't. The interesting question isn't whether dogs empathize or not. The interesting question is this. Evolution produced a creature whose response to human distress is so accurate, so consistent, so precisely timed that for thousands of years, we misidentified the mechanism entirely. We called it love. We called it loyalty. We called it empathy. Maybe all of those labels are wrong. Or maybe, and this is what some researchers are quietly beginning to consider, maybe the difference between responding to another's distress accurately and consistently and caring isn't as clear as we assumed. Your dog doesn't come to you because he understands. He comes because he was built to. And somehow, that doesn't make it feel smaller.